So let's start with the Alex Pearce stuff. So is it as simple as Josh Draper comes in, or are you thinking about something else?
No, it's probably the obvious option. We haven't discussed it at length at selection, but he's played probably 13 games this year. So, he's probably the likely option.
What sort of challenges are Marty and Logan McDonald for the two young blokes?
Well, it's a big challenge. Like I said after the game on the weekend, like the young key defenders, when you come into the comp, you don't get any easy rides. You usually playing your role, which means you're playing on good tall forwards. So there's plenty we can do to help them out if that's the case, and it is those two. There's plenty we can do to help them out. So we're a team defence. Try not to get too many one-on-ones, but there's going to be times when they just need to get it done as well. So I've got full faith that if we pick them, and whoever we pick will be able to execute the role.
How much do you have to look at, though? Those two forwards obviously quite good, but they're goal-kicking midfielders, also managed to hit the scoreboard multiple times a game. How much important is that as well?
Oh, yeah, so they've got a lot of strengths, and that's why they're sitting where they are. So, when you come up against a team that's probably 3 games clear on top of the ladder, they're obviously doing a lot right. So, the goal-kicking mids is one. Like their high half forwards are dangerous. Their back line set up really well and bounce out of there as well, and obviously defend really well as well because they're number one defending team in the comp. So, we'll put a bit of time into their midfield and try not to let them hit the scoreboard too much.
You beat them at the SCG though last year. What sort of lessons can you take out of that game heading into this one?
Oh, just a little bit of confidence that we've been to that ground and played well there. It was a long time ago. They're in better form. Said to the players, I think we're in better form than that game as well. Played them not long ago and thought we competed really well. Probably didn't take our opportunities, and a bit of their class and their scoring prowess got on top of us for a period of the game, which seems to be their thing. Like they're overwhelming at times and talk about constantly imposing a brand. Like they constantly impose a brand, and when they see a crack in the opposition, they're able to take it. So, it's going to be a great challenge and one that we're really looking forward to.
You've been losing any sleep, though, over SCG, Chad Warner coming out the front of the CB, out of the square, that sort of thing?
You lose sleep most weeks as a coach. So I've got a lot going through my brain. And that's every week. I mean, every team presents its challenges. Clearly this team presents more than others and with personnel and system. But, we want to go out there and see where we're at as well and play our way to some degree. So it's a balance.
When you go up against a side that has such a strong system that's also really recognisable, works for them, can you try and create a bit of chaos to throw them out? Is that a tactic you can use?
I try and throw a few different things. It's always a balance when you're trying to strategise against the opposition. Or trying to change your game that much where our players are confused and lack confidence because we're not playing our way versus taking some strengths off the opposition. So it was no different to last week. We'll try and get that balance right and take a few things away from them and try and play our way when it's right.
And if Brendan Cox trains the house down today, no chance of that.
Well, just a hammy, coming off a hammy, needs to get a bit of fitness, and strengthen that hammy. And as tempting as it is to ask those questions, it's just not the right thing might be the right thing for this week, but it might not be the right thing for his long term, and it's more important.
Goulden plays about 96%, 98% on that wing, full game time. You've got a pretty good runner on the wing as well in Jeremy Sharp. Do you feel like you can send someone like him, not necessarily to tag, but just to run alongside him for that whole game and try and nullify as well as expose the other way?
Yeah, I think Sharpie's a decent matchup. I think Sharpie, last time we played, had a pretty good game against Sydney. It wasn't against Goulden. It was just on his wing. We'll have a chat, whether it's Goulden, whether it's Heaney, whether it's Rowbottom, who was probably the best player last week, or Warner, or Papley, or we'll put a bit of time into one or two of them.
What about in terms of the ruck battle situation? Sean didn't play last time. They didn't have Grundy, obviously, last year. How do you see that working out?
Oh, well, I think Sean's really building his form. I think his game on the weekend against a really big physical ruckman was outstanding. 12 clearances, follow-up was good. Seemed a little bit more proactive around the ground, which I liked, and asking questions of the opposition. So, it's going to be a good challenge. Grundy's obviously a good ruckman, but really good at ground level and clears the ball himself, kicks goals, so gets involved in their ball movement. So it's another good challenge for Sean. But yeah, like I've said plenty of times, I think Sean's one of the best rucks in the comp. So I think he'll be able to give us the first look.
Is there a decision there though with Jacko might suit Grundy better, or I mean Darcy was fantastic last week, the clearances all that, so he'd be loath to do it. But is he a better fit maybe, Jacko?
At times, maybe. Yeah, like different parts of the ground, different ruck contests suit different ruckmen better. So keep looking to evolve that. Against Witts, given he's so big, we thought Sean would do most of the work, which worked out well. But different challenge this week. Throw a couple of different ruckmen in there to second ruck as well. So we'll just work on the mix and see what's working on the day and what's not. And it's good to have options as a coach, and Jacko provides us plenty of that.
And is Josh Tracy, has he actually surprised you this season in his improvement? I saw Dermot. We were being compared to Dermot Brereton at the moment.
Yeah, right. Doesn't surprise me, no, because I've seen his growth year on year, and behind the scenes you get to see the diligence, the discipline, the work they put in, the purposefulness that they go about their day-to-day life. So the work on the craft, you get to see all that. And last year I think we were seeing some of this sort of stuff without maybe finishing off his work. But he's worked so hard on his marking, he's worked so hard on his goal kicking. Now he's starting to get some reward for all the work rate, all the competing, all the contests, all the chase and tackle. He's starting to get some reward, which is getting noticed externally. But it's not no real surprise to me because see what sort of a pro he is.
Justin, this time last week in this presser, you put your midfielders on notice with a big statement. Have you spoken to the guys?
I got cut up as a big statement. I got asked a question about the waffle and how I judge a game. So it was maybe a little clip at the mids from last week. I'm not sure it was a massive statement, but it got cut up as a massive statement.
Well, in terms of that clip though, have you spoken to the midfield group about not wanting to have to do that to get that response that you got at the weekend?
No, because I feel like we've realigned and feel like they would have got a lot of confidence by the way we played on the weekend and what we've done, pretty consistently across the year. There's only been a couple of games where I reckon we haven't valued the right things and got our priorities right, and that's shown on the scoreboard. So, I'm pretty sure they're realigned and pretty sure. We'll play the same sort of physical football this week as what we did last week.
You speak there about that confidence in the group. What level do you feel like that's at? Because you watch Sydney and they look like they're puffing their chest out, playing with a bit of swagger. Where do you feel like your guys are at in terms of their capability?
I think we're confident that when we value the right things and we execute the game plan, it's holds up against anyone. I think as a footy club we need to become more consistent across 4 quarters. I think consistency across the year has improved on last year. Last year we're up and down with our consistency. This year I think we've put a pretty consistent product out there week in, week out. Quarters have just let us down where we haven't quite played the way we wanted to play, and it's probably evident in the last quarter on the weekend where we didn't quite get the contest right, weren't predictable with the ball, and played the game in the back half a little bit more than what we did in the first 3 quarters and allowed the opposition to score. So that's the challenge. Can we play 4 quarters? And you're right, like Swans are executing 4 quarters and they're looking for those moments where the opposition drop off and they're scoring heavily in those moments. So we need to make sure we don't have those on the weekend.
Looked like you played an extra midfielder, which seemed to work beautifully and was very clever. And we keep going with that, pushing Hayden forward.
Yeah, we like the look of it, and everyone talks about mids kicking goals, and we hit the scoreboard on the weekend. But some of those mids were actually forwards, and it's a bit the same with Warner and Heaney. Sometimes they're forward when they're kicking those goals, sometimes they're mids. So we just need to make sure we watch those flips. We like what it looked like on the weekend. I think clearly our mids can win contests. And that's why they're in the team to do that around stoppage. But if they can win contests in our front half or in our forward 50, it results in kick and score. So we'll keep working the rotations and see if we can get a bit more bang for buck out of them forward, but also keep the energy up around the midfield.
How tricky is that for a guy like Chapman? Normally teams have one guy who can do that. They've got, like you said, Goulden, Warner, Heaney.
Well, it's not just Chappie. It's on all our backs to make sure that we really communicate those flips. They're not the only team that does it. Like most teams would do it now. They probably do it a little bit more than maybe a couple of the other teams with the amount of guys they've got. But we're pretty used to those sorts of things. Just need to get the communication right and make sure we're prepared right for it.
If you were to tag someone, could you tell us who would be the one?
So you might as well just text Coxie and let him know, or Horse. No, we haven't really decided, Barra. We'll decide that at selection after we get through training.
Obviously, Sydney are 3 games clear, like you said. You don't have your captain. You're going over there to a ground they've been impenetrable at. What can that underdog sort of status do for your mentality this week?
Oh, yeah, I didn't really talk about being the underdog because I think that sells the message that we're inferior and don't really want to. We want to go over there with belief, but it's going to have to be one of our more connected games of the year. I think when we play our best footy, we do it as an 18 or a 22. And we're going to need that this week. We're not relying on one person. So as good as Piercy's been, we'll feel his seat in the boat and we'll go over there and play, our best 4-quarter team performance.
Caleb the captain this week?
I haven't worked that out. I got asked that on Channel 7 last night, Barry. Should have watched. I haven't worked it out this morning.
I thought you might have worked it out.
Yeah, it's interesting because people talk about captain and label that as leadership. Or we're going to need all our leaders to stand up, whether they've got a leadership title or whether they haven't. So, going to have to fill the void of Pierce's leadership through all of us picking up a little bit.
So Piercy's having a plate put in, is he? Is that what he's doing? And then
he's got a plate in that forearm. I think he's happening today. They're saying 3 to 4 weeks. I'm saying 3. See how we go.
With the guard.
Just quickly on that, won't apply to you this week, but the stadium surface has been talked about a bit this week. What did you find last week?
Oh, I said it. Yeah, I said it before. It's less than ideal. It's a slippery surface. I think the surface is inconsistent to where the new surface, the new grass is laid versus the old grass. It's inconsistent. But the stadium said that they're doing all they can to get it up and going, and the colder weather will help the ryegrass spread and get us a better surface, hopefully in 2 weeks.
Do you train it, like wet balls or something, trying to get...
Well, it's not really it's more the footing. We try and get to Optus before we play there. Unfortunately or fortunately, don't know which way to look at it. Our surface is totally different to that, so we don't get a look at it when we train here. Thank you.